Well, stack's getting shorter, but it's time for the fifth and final part of my little series on illustrators, artists, creative people who have inspired me and helped me get to where I am today. And I did a little bit of thinking about this last one because it's all about children's book illustrators. And those are sort of intersected in and out of the discussions so far. So I wanted to obviously rule out some of the ones I've already spoken about, including E.H. Shepard. I found these as I was looking through my bookshelves. I'd forgotten that I had these beautiful copies, which I assume might have been my grandmother's originally, but I won't talk about E.H. Shepard because E.H. Shepard's already been given a shout out in episode 2, Golden Age Illustrators. But I did also want to correct a really big omission. Somebody may have mentioned this in the comments, I'm not sure, but way back in the very first video on comic book illustrators and artists, I completely neglected to talk about Bill Watterson. I apologise profusely to everybody who knows Bill Watterson and Calvin and Hobbes. Massive omission. I don't know how I forgot. Again, as I was going through my bookshelves, I came across an entire bookshelf. These are all of my ones that I still have, purchased back in the mid-90s when they originally came out. I still remember the day I walked into the bookstore at Monash University, and there was this display of Bill Watterson's books, and I think it may have just been this one originally, and I was hooked ever after. Gorgeous drawings. Anyway, this is not the comic book illustrators edition, so I can't keep going on about it, but I needed to correct that for the record. So I thought I might go through a short list, and just in a sort of an order in which I was exposed to or grew to love these particular illustrators, who in some cases were also authors at the same time. And I might start with Shel Silverstein and The Giving Tree. I'm hoping there's a few people out there who know about this amazing book. And it was hard to separate out exactly whether it was the story or the illustrations. And I thought in the end, I don't think I can separate them out. They're gorgeous. I mean, you can just see from the cover this beautiful, simple line art style, but just a heartbreaking story almost, but really warm and lovely all at the same time. I don't want to spoil it, but it feels weird because it's like a book that was probably published back in the 50s, and if not earlier. And in here, there's an inscription. It says, "To Andrew, with love from Granny and Grandpa, January 1977. Shel Silverstein, first clear inspiration for me that got me involved in the love of drawing and storytelling. And here's another perhaps lesser known Shel Silverstein piece. Story called The Missing Piece, another one I highly recommend. Okay, second, have to mention Eric Carle, very hungry caterpillar. I think it was sort of published even before I was born. It's a long time ago. But an iconic book growing up, and I still have really vivid memories of the first time I encountered it, or the multiple times that I sort of read it and played with it, because if anyone knows the book, you'll know that the very hungry caterpillar physically eats through the pages in the book, and that gorgeous sort of collage-y style, really beautiful, vibrant, painterly, collage-y style, just a great vehicle for telling this story about really colourful things like fruits and vegetables and hot dogs and corn and all sorts of wonderful things. So yeah, I'd feel very wrong not mentioning Eric Carle. And in the same breath, I should also mention Maurice Sendak, another book that I grew up with, Where the Wild Things Are. Amazing, beautiful story, but a really moody and almost haunting style of illustration in it. Just very fond memories of reading that myself and then introducing that to my kids. Last one in my sort of childhood area, Dr. Seuss or Seuss, depending on who you come from, but over 60 books. If I said one fish, two fish, you'd be able to complete the sentence. Green eggs and ham, the cat in the hat, Horton Hears a Who, the Lorax. I just, the absurdity of those stories, the rhymes, coupled with just these fantastical drawings and these Rube Goldberg style machines that seem to permeate through the stories, and these impossibly tall and towers and steps that go to nowhere, and just a magical, wonderful, whimsical storytelling. Really loved the style and the art of Dr. Seuss. So from Dr. Seuss, we sort of now go into the area of when I was starting to get introduced to illustrators through having my own kids and reading them stories. So I'm thinking first, probably Quentin Blake is a great line art, very distinctive line art style, very fun way of drawing characters and telling stories, but most famously associated, for me anyway, with the Roald Dahl series. So Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, BFG, the Twits. They were always fun stories to read, but all the more so because of their fabulous illustrations that accompanied them. So Quentin Blake, huge influence as I was being a young father. Who's next on my list? Helen Oxenbury. Wanted to mention Helen mostly for the artwork in We're Going on a Bear Hunt. Again, another story a lot of people might be familiar with, but I just really loved her very simple style, basic colouring. I'm just sort of like studying sort of the work of illustrators like that, to work out, where's this effortless simplicity coming from? Is it that effortless? But it's it's a really, really lovely story for one, but beautifully illustrated. Another great story, Australian story, Possum Magic by Mem Fox. I love that story, but I really, in particular, was drawn to the illustrations by Julie Vivas. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So again, if you have not come across Possum Magic and you've got some young kids and you want to read them a great story with some beautiful illustrations, can highly recommend. I'm getting close to the end, I think. I could go on and on and on, obviously, and I'm really, really hoping that you will perhaps write in the comments your favourite children's book as you were growing up. And it might be because of the story, it might be because of the illustrations, or it might be a combination of the two. But the last illustrator I wanted to talk about was sort of on the scene for me at a really influential time when I was just starting to explore the children's book illustrating market for the very first time. I remember walking into Helen Chamberlain's office at Lothian Children's Books to discuss my folio, and in those offices on the wall were a series of books by Shaun Tan, and for anybody who knows Shaun Tan's work, you won't be surprised that I'm mentioning him here. And even then, I was aware of his work. Barney, enough. The Lost Thing. So I was already familiar with The Lost Thing, and there on the wall in Helen Chamberlain's office, Barney, just really knowing this is the end of the series, wants to make as much of an impact as he can. On the wall were a whole series of Shaun Tan's books, and then it occurred to me that he was being published through Lothian Children's Books at the time. Wow, that was pretty intimidating, to be honest. But the work that he did in The Lost Thing was just like these gorgeous paintings that, again, were sort of, I'll try and get that without the light shining too much, but these beautiful, funny little characters with their absurd style heads, but a really sort of moody, dark lighting and dramatic lighting in these paintings, telling these just really crazy, weird, and wonderful stories. He's had obviously an exceptionally successful career, and he's got so many books to his credit. Look at that stunning cover with the reflections in the water. Again, you can sort of see how he developed such an ardent following with his beautiful, recognisable style and this lovely little painterly approach to these beautiful, whimsical, absurd, children's themed illustrations. But I think the work that really stands out for me, which I think has took him a really long time, and you'll know when you have a look inside, is The Arrival. And it shows off his sensational draftsmanship and illustrating skills. So you saw the very whimsical style in The Lost Thing. Here we get to these achingly honest and just stunning depictions, much more realistic drawing style here. Not a word to be spoken in this story, but it has the Shaun Tan style of epic size, scale. I just glad I was looking back through my books again, because this is a real absolute treat to go through, and I would like to think this took him years and years and years to do. Like every drawing in this and illustration in this is of amazing detail, and so much to look at. You can just spend hours looking at each page. Just so inspirational. Probably top of the heap for me as far as contemporary children's book illustrators go. Okay, that's it. I'm going to draw a line on it. As I said, I've been really, really hoping that I'll hear from you about children's book illustrations that have made an impact on you as you are growing up, or as you as parents have enjoyed with and through your own children. And that'll be the end of this inspiration series, but it won't be the end of me talking about people who inspire me, because I'm constantly inspired, and there's lots of people I haven't been able to fit into any of the categories that I've chosen that I would like to be able to talk about and introduce you to and promote. So more of that to come. The simple pleasure for me today was actually just being rugged up outside, but with the winter sun on me. It didn't feel quite warm, but the invigorating power of that sun as I was sitting out there reading a book, enjoying a cup of tea. I think that sort of fits in all of the boxes for a simple pleasure. Thanks again to everybody who is being so lovely with their comments, with their feedback, with their encouragement. I really, really love hearing from you, and love the conversations that are being born from the release of these. And these videos, they're fun to make, they're fun to think about, but ultimately it's very rewarding to know that other people are enjoying them too. So there'll be more to come. Next week I'll be sending out my next monthly lot of samples to publishers, so we'll hopefully hear something back from that, but if not, we'll just keep on going anyway. Barney says goodbye, and we'll see you in the next video. Okay.